Hello, friends and neighbors. Thank you for joining us on episode 6. We are here at the secret underground recording studio in St. Norbert. And don't worry, we have producer Grammy watching the front door. And of course, as always, we have the one and only escalator stopping Benny in the house. How you doing, brother?
Yeah, I'm doing good. How about you, Ray?
I'm doing fabulous. Great weekend of sport. I was at the Bomber game. Ooh, that was a good time. Sorry, you had your finger up. You want to say something?
Yeah, I want to kind of talk about this escalator stopping thing and just let everyone know that I've never stopped an escalator before. So just wanted to add that in. You can continue on now.
I've stopped an escalator.
Yes,
though. I think
you have. Yes,
I think I stopped an escalator though.
yes. I know only one of us got in shit for it, but we don't have to talk about that right now. So.
Oh, we're starting off good on episode 6, and we still got a lot to talk about. Like I said, I was at the Bomber game, so I was taking in some good football action. Of course, a lot of NFL action this weekend. We're going to talk about Aaron Rodgers, Karen Rodgers, and of course, we got some NHL action. We're going to talk about a big Jack Eichel trade going on, and Carey Price coming back. And we also got some CFL action with the playoffs coming up. But before we get to any of that, let's talk about our Winnipeg Jets, who are currently in the third period with 9 minutes left, 2-1 against the St. Louis Blues. Let's look at the Jets week in review. How are the Jets looking to you, brother? Since we last met, they've gone 1-1, dominating the lowly Blackhawks, and then a bit of a reality check against the Islanders.
Yeah, it was a bit concerning going into that week because Helly was out. Him and his wife just had a little baby boy. So, you're wondering how Comrie was going to be able to stack up and carry the load over the next couple games, or one game, I guess we were assuming at the time. But it ended up being 3 that Comrie had to play. So he played pretty well, though. Just give him a quick shutout. He held down the fort while Helly was out. Ended up being 2-1. I guess the last game was Tuesday, the first one there. And the 2-1 record, 3-1 on the year, and 1.98 goals against. So it's a pretty good start for Comrie, considering we had our concerns about him going into the season.
That was the number one concern. We had a good backup in Lauren Brossois last year, and Comrie, he's had a couple shots in the NHL before. Didn't quite step up when he had the chance, but he looked pretty good against some pretty good competition. So props to Comrie, especially in that last game. 29 saves against a tough Islander team. And unfortunately, the Jets couldn't get it into the net, just like the St. Louis Blues just did to tie it up 2-2 live. But I'm going to get back on subject. Sorry about being distracted with the Jets game, but what are your thoughts about the Jets and the Islanders, how they looked that night?
Yeah, the Jets always seem to struggle with teams that can play that suffocating style of D. We saw that in the playoffs against Montreal last year, where Montreal basically shut them down. Barry Trotz is he's a very good coach in regards to his teams playing D. So the Jets just couldn't break through and put any past Sorokin. So. Yeah, like you said, Comrie played well, kept them in that game, and giving them a chance to win. So, but and unfortunately, the Jets couldn't score any goals. So, they do need a little bit more contribution from their bottom 6 right now. It's a little top heavy going on right now, and I know the fourth line's been in flux with, playing 11 forwards and 7 D. So, but I guess Wheeler, Scheifele, and Lowry would technically be our third line right now. So,
yeah.
Some goals out of them would be nice. They've had a couple chances tonight, but haven't been able to beat Binnington tonight. So,
yeah, and that was also, not like they didn't have chances against the Islanders. I think one went off the crossbar. Was it from Wheeler, or Wheeler missed a net and Scheifele hit the crossbar? One of the two.
Yeah.
So there were some opportunities, and even tonight there were a couple opportunities where the Jets could have, not easily, but had the opportunity to be up 3-1. So they're just missing on a couple of these opportunities. That they should be banking in, especially against teams like St. Louis and New York. You can't let those slide. Talking about slides and getting out of slides, we were talking about the Maple Leafs last week and how much of a disaster it looked. And do you believe they've turned the corner here?
Yeah, I mean, it seems like they have. They had a solid week. But having said that, they also lost last night, I believe, to the Kings 5-1. So um,
Yes.
anything that would seem to have made some progress maybe went out the window last night a little bit. They had big wins against Boston, Tampa Bay, Vegas, and plus the Wings and the Hawks last week or over the last couple weeks or whatever it was. So they were on a 5-game winning streak going into last night, and losing to the Kings is not going to sit well with them. But Tavares, Marner, Nylander, Matthews, all those guys have picked it up. Their point scoring has increased lately, and everything like that. So yeah, have they turned the corner? I would think so. They look like they're starting to play again, but Mrazek got hurt again, so we'll see if Campbell can carry
Yeah.
the load. And we'll see if Toronto will trust their backup in Hutchinson to get some games in there.
Yeah, I agree with you, brother. I think they have turned the corner. In that 5-game winning streak, they beat teams like Las Vegas, Tampa Bay, and Boston. And they look good doing it. And then they face the Kings, and of course, with what's his name? Deneau having a 3-point game, 2-goal. I'm sure they hate seeing him in Toronto. So I think they're there. And I think the actual factor is Sheldon Keefe. He himself, a quote from him is Sheldon Keefe says, "What I'm perplexed about is just the start." He's talking about his team not being able to get the chemistry going in the first period, getting stuck behind. Well, isn't that the coach's issue there?
Yeah, you would think so.
Yeah, he's really got to get his team ready to start the game then. I don't know if it's a better Gatorade or a better pre-game chat, but that kind of falls on him. So I think still, like we said at the beginning of the season, it's about Sheldon Keefe and how he can really turn this team around or not turn this team around, because he's in a big market and there's a lot of pressure on him.
Yeah, there's still a question mark about him because he's still a fairly new coach, right? I mean, this is Toronto's his first job in the NHL.
Yeah.
And so far, Toronto hasn't changed, first round exits kind of thing. So yeah, I think this is a big year for him and Kyle Dubé. Dubas to see what they can do, and if they'll be able to get over that hump past the first round. But of course, we got a long season to go here to see if they even end up making the playoffs, which they probably should. So
they should, but I'm still not a believer in that Toronto machine or the hype machine. To steal from Denny Green, the Leafs are who we think they are. They're an okay team. Yeah, a better than average top six, a better than average defense, and a better than average goalie. So I can think they are where they are because that's who they are. And I think we'll see the same most of this season. Yeah. Let's talk a little bit of good news on the NHL front with Carey Price returning to his team. He took some time off to go take care of some mental health issues. Props to him for being a leader in that. And if I can, I'm just going to share what he's shared on the Montreal Canadiens website. Over the last few years, I've let myself get to a very dark place, and I didn't have the tools to cope with the struggle. Last month, I made a decision to enter a residential treatment facility for substance abuse. Things had reached a point that I realized I needed to prioritize my health for both myself and for my family. Asking for help when you need it is what we encourage our kids to do and is what I needed to do. So again, props to him for having the strength to do that in such a high profile. Your thoughts on Carey Price coming back and the plan on him rejoining the team?
Yeah, it's definitely good to see him come back. They were expecting him to be out probably a month, so that's about around this time frame. So great to see him back. It's also great to see him take the initiative to go in to get treatment, but also now to let everybody know, it's okay to kind of go into treatment for mental health, for substance abuse. When you need help, go get it, before things get even worse kind of situations. So, yeah, you always want to see someone like that come back and be able to succeed. So I'm definitely behind Carey Price, and hopefully he can come back and play at a top level. Will it be enough to help the Canadiens get back into the playoffs? Probably, or even to the playoff race? Probably not. Again, he's just one guy. Weber's another guy who's out that they definitely need that leadership from. So I think they'll still have a rough time this season.
Yeah. And what I did like or appreciate with is the coach Dominique Ducharme and his 4 steps in Carey Price's return. Gym work, training alone, on ice work with the goalie coach, Eric Raymond, and then full practices. Nothing about game time.
Yeah, that's good.
Or when he's going to be game ready.
Yeah.
It's about him and his process. So props to that organization.
For sure,
He's having a kind of tough year, but good for them on being leaders in this in the mental health issue that we have.
Yeah, it'd be easy to get desperate and throw him back in right away into the net because you're looking for a win or a spark kind of thing, right? So yeah, props to Ducharme and the Montreal organization for how they're handling this.
Absolutely. Let's look at this trade that happened. We have Jack Eichel finally traded from Buffalo to Las Vegas. If I could say, what Vegas, Buffalo, what a terrible organization not to let a guy have a surgery, to make him feel more comfortable and not live without pain. So thank goodness for that. Jack Eichel is out of that, and he's on to Las Vegas to bigger and better things. Thoughts on that trade, Brad?
Yeah, I think the relationship with Buffalo was was already headed downhill, right? And this surgery situation just was the last straw that broke the camel's back, basically. I mean, it's a tough organization to play for lately, right? You thought when they were, drafted 2nd overall, got Jack Eichel, it's going to turn them around. It didn't. Then they drafted 1st overall. They thought, okay, this is it. Didn't work either. So, yeah, I don't know. We'll see what Buffalo ends up with here. I mean, they got Alec Tuck, Peyton Krebs, a 22 first rounder, and a 2023 third rounder for Eichel, and a 2023 third rounder as well, going back to Vegas there. Great trade for Vegas. I mean, if of course Eichel can come back and play at a top level, but that top line of Eichel, Pacioretty, and Stone will be tough to stop. Of course, if they all can stay healthy. I think Stone's still out right now, and Pacioretty is out as well. So, you know, it's hard because you look at the salary caps and you look at where Vegas was in it, and they're at the max, and then you're thinking, okay, how are they going to make this trade? And now you know what, they can keep Eichel on the LITR for a long time. Bring him back when the playoffs possibly come and say, oh, he wasn't ready, and see what could happen. But it'll definitely help Vegas probably next year more as well. But we'll see. They'll have to get rid of somebody, and that bottom 6 is just going to get weaker as they turn into a top 6 heavy team.
Yeah. Brad McCrimmon does have a lot of work to do. Once those 3 that you mentioned, Stone, Pacioretty, and now Eichel are ready to play, because they are over the cap. A couple of people have speculated that they'll send a couple of people to the minors, maybe Leschyshyn, maybe Roenberg. They might waive a couple of players, maybe a trade isn't there, but Brad McCrimmon has to do something. And it's like you mentioned, next year as well. He'll have to figure out what's going on. Tampa Bay did great use of that long-term injury distinction or whatever list. So Brad McCrimmon has some magic to do. He has some magic to do.
Yeah, they always seem to find a team to take something on from them and help them clear up some cap space, though. It's ridiculous. Yeah. It's like, what does Vegas have on all these other teams in the league that they, here, take Fleury. Don't give us anything back for it. Okay. Like even when the Jets traded for Stasny a couple years ago, instead of retaining some salary, or Vegas retaining some salary, just took on the full deal plus gave them back a draft pick. It's like I don't know what's going on half the time there, but good for Vegas, I guess.
No, and that's the thing. They've been running their team a little differently than you'd expect expansion team. They got rid of all of their first rounders until the 2021. Yeah. They're all gone. They're not part of the organization, Suzuki and all. Yeah. That's weird. You try to build within, and you talk about retaining salary. That's a huge thing for that organization, to get those other organizations to retain that salary and not give up anything extra. Yeah. Brilliant on Brad McCrimmon. Will they get a cup out of it? I don't know.
Hopefully not.
We'll see. Let's talk from a new organization to a more storied organization, with the Chicago Blackhawks firing their head coach. Bro, I kind of feel bad for the guy. He's been in a bad situations from day one. Number one, you're replacing Quinville. Then you have to go through COVID protocols. Then you have players and coaches going through COVID. But I think he had to go. I think it was one of those, you can't fire the whole team. So the coach has got to go.
Yeah, a bit of a rough year, I guess you could say, for the Blackhawks. They started off 2-9-2, and Jeremy Colleton just couldn't change things around in there. They made a couple moves this offseason. Like one of them was bringing in Fleury, and you thought, okay, maybe they'll compete a little bit and be in that race kind of thing. But there's some. It didn't quite work out for him there, and now we'll see if interim Derek King can coach Derek King will be able to change anything in Chicago. But I can't see much changing. Like it's just the team they have right now. Jonathan Toews is not the player he once was, and he's making $10 million still a year. Patrick Kane, he's still a pretty good player, but he as well as he's also making 10. So you got two guys making 20 right there. So it'll be tough for them to change things around.
Yeah, and the management was feeling it from the fans too. Like they were booing that coach at home games, and I think like the last game that they were booing broke their sellout streak. Like they had like 535 straight sellouts, and now that is broken. So the organization really felt it from the fans. And I don't know, what do you think? You mentioned Toews and Kane, and of course the off-ice issues. Do you think they have lost a bit of clout in the room being involved with that team?
I would think so. I mean, you got Taves who was the captain at the time when all this stuff went down. And you have reports of all these players knew and everything like that, and them coming out saying we didn't know anything, we didn't find out anything. But as far as we know, there was stuff going on the ice. There was making comments on the ice, and I'm sure it wasn't just on the ice. So it's hard to believe what these players end up saying, if they knew or not. But you would have to think there had to have been some rumors floating through the building. Even when Aldrich got let go, if the Blackhawks were high on this guy, then all of a sudden he's gone. It's like, okay, well, what's the reason he's gone? So you think stuff would have came out at that point, and players would have known, earlier than what they're actually making it out to be right now. So
yeah. Let's stay on that subject of what's been going on with the Chicago organization and the culture, the hockey culture. Did you happen to hear the mother of the child who was abused? Yeah. It was one of the most heartbreaking things I've ever heard. When a woman has to go through that trauma again through this interview and tell us how her son told her that he was raped. It's been going on for years and years and years. Graham James here in Winnipeg. We know of the situation that's been going on for years, and of course, you heard me last week go on about Gary Bettman and how he should step down in regards to that. So it's an ongoing thing that definitely should not and will not go away, and has to be eradicated in hockey.
Yeah, it definitely is, and like we said last year, we said, hey, fire Chevy, fire Bettman, like do all these things, and take care of the people that were in charge that didn't do anything to help Brad Aldrich, or now John Doe number 2. Like Sheldon Kennedy, who of course was part of the Graham James sexual assault.
Yeah.
He spoke after the fact, and it was kind of refreshing to hear his thoughts as someone who was a survivor, and kind of give some advice to the Jets and what they should do. He came out and said everyone in that room should have done better. It should have been followed up on. So to me, that includes Chipman too, or Chevy as well, right? He's in that room. He knows he's a high level guy. He should have done something. Kennedy went on to say that he did like what he heard out of Mark Chipman and Kevin Cheveldayoff, but he expects them to follow through on what they said, and not just not just lip service, not just say, hey, we're gonna do this. We're going to follow up. We're going to make sure this never happens again. Okay, let's see it, right? Let's put some action into place and see it. Chevy, he can't change what he did not do back then, and coming forward, but he has a chance to make some serious change, right? And Kennedy says that, you can't let Chevy off the hook for sure, but he has a chance to get this right, and maybe that'll help down the road. Same with Mark Chipman. He said he's going to hold the NHL accountable. He's gonna do what he can to make things better. But now we go back to this John Doe number 2, and the NHL has basically told him they're not going to do anything. This was tweeted out by Rick Westhead today, that they're not going to do anything for him, the NHL. They're not going to cover the cost of counseling, therapy, or anyone in his family. They're leaving it basically up to the Blackhawks to make that decision. So, and it's interesting, right? Bettman's the one who's coming out and saying this, but he listens to what the other 32 owners are telling him to do. And to me, Mark Chipman, you're one of those owners. You said you were going to make some change. Start here. And right now, it doesn't seem like any change is happening early on already here.
They have, they absolutely have the opportunity to be leaders in this change in the sport, in the industry. Man, Gary Bettman, I have no more to say about this guy, man. Like, anyone who covers up and ignores sexual harassment and abuse has they have no business being a decision maker in a position of power. So,
we got to remember that he listens to the owners, right? He's not just on his own, so he's getting his directive from them and following what they want him to do.
Yeah. Well, because he's been so good outside of that too. Like, we can do a whole episode on what a failure of a commissioner this guy has been. 2-3 times, labor strike, moving teams around out of markets, forcing a team. Bro, you got me started. We got to move on. We got to move on before I start cussing, and you got to put the children to bed. Oh my gosh, I don't know if I'm going to stop cussing with Aaron Rodgers coming up here. Aaron Rodgers, since we last met, this guy was on the Pat McAfee show, and he went on a 45-minute stupidity-filled monologue about, he's not anti-vax, but that mofo is anti-vax, his being allergic, quoting Martin Luther King. Man, what a fool. What a fool Karen Rodgers is.
Yeah, he liked to play with some words there back in August when he did the press conference saying he was immunized, and then he likes to flip it back now that he kind of got caught on it, and flip it back on the media, which he usually tends to do. He hates to be criticized. So,
thin skin, bro.
Yeah, and his words were, he said it the way he said it because there's a witch hunt going on against people who were not vaxxed. He's talking directly, mainly in the NFL, but his reasons, allergic to an ingredient in the mRNA vaccine. At the end of he came out today a bit and apologized for his if he misled some people or wasn't totally honest in what he was saying or pretending to be vaccinated. He wasn't on the sidelines in preseason wearing a mask. He wasn't following those protocols. And what did he get today? A slap on the wrist, $15,000 fine for a guy making $40 million a year. That's going to hurt him.
One round of Jeopardy.
Yeah,
that's one round of Jeopardy for that guy, man.
Yeah, but at the end of the day, it may have cost them the first seed in the NFC. They had a game against KC this weekend, which was probably a very winnable game. The way Mahomes has been going, the way KC's defense was playing, but Jordan Love wasn't good enough to pull out that victory. So we'll see what happens the rest of the year here. He said he may be back this week, but I don't think he gets cleared until the Saturday. So I guess we'll see if he's healthy enough to play next Sunday. But yeah, he definitely stirred up a hornet's nest this week.
So I don't have the stats in front of me. I don't have time to look for it right now, but he is not the only man who is unvaxxed in the league, correct?
Correct.
They're not 100% vaxxed.
Right.
So there are players out there who are known to the public, I'm sure, if I do a quick Google search.
Kirk Cousins.
So where's his witch hunt for them? Kirk Cousins.
Kirk Cousins, he's come out and said, there's another quarterback too, I can't think of off the top of my head, but Kirk Cousins come out and he stood up to it, said, I'm not vaxxed, and here are my reasons. Here are my reasons why. But he stood up to it and answered the questions. Meanwhile, Rodgers tried to hide it. I get it. Everyone wants to say it doesn't matter. It's no business to you who's vaxxed or not. Okay, well, but this is the NFL. It's sports. and it's a little bit different finding out who's vaxxed or not kind of thing. So, but yeah, Kirk Cousins, he has no issue telling people he was. He never tried to hide anything.
Yeah, anyone witch hunting that dude?
Nope.
Get out of
They
here
asked
with
him
that
some questions at the beginning of the season, and now it's just, hey, go out and play.
Yeah, exactly. Man up.
Yeah.
Man up to it. You know, when you're getting medical advice from Joe Rogan and putting ivermectin or whatever it's in your body, man, get out of here. Because he's allergic to something, so you're gonna put some weird stuff in your body called ivermectin. Man, what a fool this guy is.
Yeah,
what a fool.
He definitely heard it this past week, and he got made fun of on SNL. On a clip there, and then even Terry Bradshaw leaned into him on the pregame show. Strahan, I believe, as well. So he's already lost one sponsorship from this, and maybe that's why he's kind of backpedaling again today to make sure he doesn't lose anymore.
But bro, that loss that they just had, that's going to inspire him.
Yeah.
You know that, right? This guy, man, he is brilliantly played almost. He's making himself the villain here. He's going to make it Aaron Rodgers versus the world, and he's going to go out and win the MVP, especially now that Jordan Love looks foolish. It's going to, that's what's going to happen. It's going to make me sick. It's going to make me sick. I got to move on from Aaron Rodgers.
Did you see where Jordan Love's mom and girlfriend sat at the KC game?
Oh, gosh. Yeah. And to clarify, that's Green Bay's fault. That's Green Bay's fault, bro.
Like in the last row of the stadium, those are the only seats you could get for them to see their son, boyfriend's first NFL game. Like, jeez. I don't know, man. They would have been better off watching at home.
Yeah, exactly. Especially after that performance.
Exactly.
Anyways, a little more serious, sad situation in the NFL with the receiver in Oakland, Ruggs, involved in a DUI that killed a woman. So we have a young man, 22, who's headed for jail time, losing multi-millions of dollars. His family, who knows what kind of situation they're in. Very sad situation in Oakland.
Yeah, it's definitely
don't drink and drive.
Yeah, definitely a sad situation with him choosing to drink and drive on that night. It was 23-year-old Tina Tinter who ended up losing her life. Her and her dog, actually.
Jeez. So sad, man.
But it's rough to see, man. I mean, like, what are you doing? You're going 156 miles per hour down a residential street. Like, why? And even that, he only slowed down to 126 by the time he ended up hitting her. And just for perspective, miles per hour, if you go kilometers per hour, that's 250 that he was driving. Like that
residential.
To me, that is ridiculous. You're double over the alcohol limit, or you're double the alcohol limit.
Yeah,
it's crazy. Yeah, I get it. Okay, they got lots of money. He's in Vegas. I don't think Vegas has anything to do with it. This could have happened in any town at all. You got this money. You got team resources.
Absolutely.
Call somebody to drive you, pick you up. None of this needed to happen. So it's an unfortunate situation, and someone ended up losing their life over it.
Yeah. You can't put the blame on anyone. Other than Ruggs. Yeah. And now they're losing another first round draft pick who was apparently wielding a gun and throwing out death threats to people.
Yeah.
Same first round, and he's gone.
Yeah, rough season so far for the Raiders. You got the John Gruden stuff, but it's all stuff they brought on themselves, basically, right?
Yeah, and this is not a new thing to Raiders culture.
No.
They've had issues with players before. It wasn't an issue when you had a younger Al Davis who reeled in those personalities and made them, okay, we're going to win a Super Bowl. But he is gone. Mark Davis has been unstable as any other owner. The culture there is not changing. Mike Mayock is not changing it. So that organization also has to change, not to put the blame on them of the situation, but just saying that organization as well needs to look within themselves. Don't drink and drive, y'all.
Exactly.
So let's go to another NFL receiver who cleared the waivers today, OBJ. Where's this guy going to end up, bro? Is he worth the hassle? Thoughts on Odell Beckham Jr.? I don't know, man. I don't know.
I got to believe he still has the talent. He's still a good receiver. things just didn't work out for him in Cleveland at all. Is it the relationship with Mayfield? Is it other things that he wasn't getting the ball enough? But he cleared waivers today, so he wants to go to a contender, he said. Latest rumors have him saying he wants to go to Green Bay. That's the top of the list. But I don't know if he'd end up well there. Devontae Adams catches 20 balls a game, and then every other receiver gets one each or something like that, right? So I believe Seattle is also another option that was at the top of his list. But right now they're not contending for a playoff spot yet. Russell Wilson should be back this Sunday, so we'll see what happens there. But doesn't necessarily mean that he's going to come out slinging that ball and they're going to start winning games. So what he said today is he prefers a team in playoff contention, offensive-minded head coach, and a veteran quarterback. But the other team actually I saw today too is New England was interested. But I know to me that's not an offensive coach, and right now they got a rookie QB. So I don't know what will happen there, but we'll see. I mean, the Saints were another team that tried to trade for him, but right now their quarterback situation is pretty rough, so he probably wouldn't be happy there.
Yeah, I don't. Green Bay, I think, might be. I'm just all for a team that takes him as a secondary receiver. This guy is not a wide receiver one, in my opinion. It's not someone that you want to build your passing game around. He's not Jerry Rice. This guy, he's not Michael Irvin. He's not Larry Fitzgerald. This guy's John Taylor. He's Alvin Harper. He's Anquan Bolden. He's there as a support role. And any team that plans on taking him and being the wide receiver one, I think the drama will just follow this guy wherever he goes if he's a primary target. Let's look at some matchups. Sorry. Go ahead.
No, just saying, we'll see. I mean, I've always wanted him in San Francisco, but they're on their way downhill anyways, so probably wouldn't do much help there anyways.
It's okay, brother. Dang. I ask you a question. What matchup opened your eyes this week in the NFL? Which one was an eye opener for you?
I'm going to have to say the way the Titans took down the Rams. You know what? Without Derrick Henry, that's a big statement win for the Titans, who reeled off 4 wins in a row against playoff teams after losing to the lowly New York Jets a few weeks ago. So the D was crazy. 5 sacks, 2 interceptions against Matthew Stafford. They made Matthew Stafford look like Jared Goff. Tanny was okay, nothing spectacular. But he did what he had to do to win. And then you got Adrian Peterson, who came back and put on that finishing TD there on the board to end that statement win. So I know we talked last week. We weren't ready to anoint the Titans, especially with Derrick Henry out. Do we do it this week? At each time we seem to anoint a team, they end up losing the week after. It's just like that Manning cast curse. Every team. Josh Allen fell to the Manning cast curse, losing to the Jags. So right now,
Ray and Benny curse going on.
Yeah, I think we have to anoint the Titans. This is the top of the AFC. They take on the Saints this week, so we'll see what happens.
Yeah, let's put it on them. I'll put it on the Titans there. That defense is crazy impressive.
Yeah, it's been really good over the last few weeks. So,
my goodness. The eye opener for me was that Dallas-Denver game.
Yeah,
Dallas-Denver. I don't think Denver is really that good, to be honest with you.
No,
and I don't think that was the eye opener there. I think the eye opener is Dallas. I think we talked earlier on, maybe first episode, that Dallas is Dallas, and they might start breaking up mid-season. This might be the start of that. And this is beyond Dak Prescott being rusty. Like, when you hold the ball for less than 20 minutes, that's not good.
Yeah.
That's not good. When you let a team rush for 190 yards on you, bro, that's not good. That can't be good.
Yeah, they went for a couple early 4th downs and shorts and could not get them. That first half for pretty much the whole game. I mean, most points, all their points were at the garbage time, but Dak did not look good in his return at all. And those 4th and 1s are, I don't know, they missed them by a mile.
And they're supposed to have one of the greatest offensive lines.
Yeah. Run the ball.
No.
Exactly. You need a yard.
And they couldn't.
Yeah, exactly.
And they couldn't. So So from eye opener, we had some amazing upsets this weekend. Someone parlayed big somewhere.
Oh God, yeah.
We had the Jags win, the Giants win, the Browns, and the Falcons. Which one of those upsets do you think was a statement win?
Yeah, I'm probably gonna have to go with the Browns after the week they went through with the OBJ stuff going on. They're coming off a loss the week before. Everyone was saying, okay, this is back to the old Browns of gonna end up missing the playoffs. Baker's not good enough. They're gonna end up signing him for $30-40 million a year, and he's not worth that contract. But you know what? Their second week in a row that the Bungles have shone brightly in a game, and I don't mean that in a good way. But the Browns D stepped up. The offense, Nick Chubb, Mayfield did whatever he had to do. Spreading that ball around to all his receivers. And we'll see if they can carry it up. And they got a game against New England and keep it going. But yeah, they were definitely ready to play.
Yeah, I picked the same game. The Browns, they look very impressive. And I don't think they're going to make a run to the playoffs. Don't get me wrong. They might beat the Lions, the Raiders, and the Bengals out of the next few matches. So I don't think they'll sneak into the playoffs or anything like that. But it's just interesting to see them handle Cincinnati and how the Bengals are definitely turning into the Bengals. I think that's what they're free falling. I think they used all their juice and all their tricks against the Ravens. I really want to see the Jags, though. I really wanted to say the Jags, but I couldn't. Hey, 420 days since they last won on American soil. 420, y'all. Just saying. Let's go to some CFL. Let's talk about the dominant Winnipeg Blue Bombers who just played Montreal. I was at that game, and Montreal looked good at the beginning of the game. That Carey team is really strong. I don't think it really showed anything about the Bombers, though. I don't think there's any dents in the armor there. Your thoughts on that game, what it said about the Bombers, and man, they're still dominant, bro. They're still dominant.
Yeah, it was a little bit of a rough start. The Olivier fumbled. Montreal took it back after the Bombers had the lead. So there you go. I mean, the D allowed 2 touchdowns over the course of that game. The offense allowed 1. So, yeah, but they pulled it out. And again, I mean, what else can you say? The D came up strong again. No fourth quarter points again. What is it?
That's ridiculous.
6 points still so far this year? Only in the fourth quarter?
It's like 116-6 or something ridiculous like that.
Yeah, it's crazy. And you had to forget what Alouette player came out and said the Bombers weren't that good, and they were going to come out and win. But keep those words to yourself next time, buddy, because you're you're just amping up a team, and it's tough because the Bombers, they really have nothing to play for, right? At this point, maybe they want to keep some of these stats alive. The D wants to keep what it's done throughout the whole season, but it's hard, right? Probably to get going early in games. So, but Claros was steady. He got things done. Augustine and Olivier filled in fine for Harris as running back. So, and how about Kenny Lawler? That guy continues his breakout season. He's pretty much unstoppable this year, and he's basically taken over the number 1 wide receiver position in Winnipeg. And of course the D was solid. Two INTs of Harris, who looked like the same Harris that he was in Edmonton. The best part of the Montreal game, I guess, was the run game. They ended up putting out over 100 yards as Stanbrook on the Bombers. So the D will definitely look to clean that up. So, and hey, our kicking game was not bad.
Not bad.
3 out of 4. 75%. He did miss one, but we'll give him some credit. His first game in a while.
First game back. Yeah, it's all right. Not bad. Yeah, I agree with you. It's ridiculous, this team. Montreal did look good at the beginning, but I think that was just rust. Did we just come off a bye?
We did actually. Yeah.
Going into that game. Yeah. So a little bit of rush, get those legs back. It's fine. And they did in that second half. Montreal got a quick touchdown, but they adjusted. They shut them down. Some people say it was a close game. It really wasn't.
No.
It really wasn't. No. You talk about that defense. Talk about the defense. Who would you pick to win the not the MVP, not the defensive player of the league? Who would win the defensive player of the team? There are candidates. Who do you think would win this one?
Yeah, it's tough to say. You got my top 3 would be Willie Jefferson, Jeffcoat, and of course Adam Bighill. So it's hard. You can't go wrong with either of those 3. They've been big parts of the D, big leaders on that D. So if I had to choose one, you know what, I'm gonna go with it's someone who probably doesn't receive as much accolades as the other two. I'm gonna go with Jeffcoat.
Jeffcoat, solid. He's been progressing as just one of those great defensive linemen in the CFL.
Yeah.
I don't think Willie Jefferson would be the same player without Jeffcoat there, and vice versa.
Yeah,
don't get me
exactly,
wrong.
Yeah.
I'm gonna pick Biggie. I'll take Biggie. That guy's flying around the field. You can't go wrong with Jeffcoat, Jefferson, or Biggie. But I'll take Biggie. I like the way that guy looks like. If I were to compare him to someone in the NFL, he looks like Troy Polamalu, up the line, playing pass coverage, playing deep coverage, hitting people. He's been enjoyable to watch. So I will take Adam Big Hill for the defensive player for the Winnipeg Blue Bombers. Of course, Bombers are going to roll into the playoffs. December 5th. Because it should be defensive 5th. That's what's going to happen.
Yeah.
The defense is going to come out. It's going to be their day. So defensive 5th, Bomber fans, get out there for the West Final. And how are those other playoffs? How's that playoff picture looking in the CFL? Always changing week to week.
Yeah, so we know Toronto, Hamilton, and Montreal are in the East. Toronto and Hamilton play each other this weekend, so Toronto can clinch first with a win there. Hamilton, if Hamilton wins, they will clinch a home playoff date, but we'll see if it's either the semi or the final, East semi or final that they're hosting. So Montreal need to win out and hope some things go their way for them to have a chance to host a game, or to win the East final, or finish first in the East. And then BC Calgary play each other this week. So Calgary win ends BC's chances, but a BC win obviously keeps them alive and gives them the tiebreaker against Calgary. So that would go into the last week of the season. So Calgary only needs one win over the last 2 weeks, against BC or Winnipeg. So, but if they want to finish first, they need to win out and hope Saskatchewan lose both their final games. So, but Saskatchewan wins, clinches that first for them, and they'll host the West Semi.
That's huge. That's huge. With this being the parity in this league is crazy.
Yeah. Besides
after
one
team number one. Yeah, the best one. But it's amazing how I think home field advantage will be huge. Even in the East, you got Hammy and Toronto still playing for that first place spot, which will be home field advantage. And
will it be for Toronto though? Really? Will anyone show up?
Don't get me started again, bro. How can you do that? What is 1% of 2 million people? 20,000 people, bro. You can't get 1%. Oh, no. I'm yelling and shit. Let's go talk. I'm getting heated. Let's go into a segment. That people were hollering about. They heard it one time. They want to hear it again. So let's get that. Eat that hot dog. Get some music from producer Grimy. I'm going to give out that first hot dog, and I'm going to bring up Aaron Rodgers again. He such a disappointment. So, he leads. So many people look up to this guy, and the way he acted. I'm going to give him a dried out, dirty hot dog. End of the evening when you go to Sev, and then it rolls on the floor under the counter with hair on it, and then I'm going to put it in a sloppy bun. That's Aaron Rodgers. You can eat that hot dog, bruh.
I'm going to give one out, but a good one. A good, tasty hot dog out to Connor McDavid for that goal that he came up with against the Rangers the other day. Totally embarrassing the 4D and then undressing the goalie. McDavid, he's amazing. It's unfair that Edmonton got him and Gretzky before. So yeah, I'll give a shout out and a hot dog to Connor McDavid.
Dang, give me that Jets dog. Oh my gosh, with everything. What a gorgeous goal. Pylons he made those people. I'm going to give another good hot dog out to the Portland Thorns of the National Women's Soccer League, who hired Canadian Karina LeBlanc as a new general manager. Let's give them a big, juicy, smoky hot dog. Steam bun, grilled onion, nacho cheese, squirt cheese. That's what y'all get. Portland Thorns, eat that hot dog, baby.
If we're going with Jets dogs, I guess I'll give out another one here to the Winnipeg Ice of the Western Hockey League. What a start from them. 14-1 to start the season, and they've been destroying teams on their way to that record. So best in the league in the WHL, so props to them.
Oh, I love myself a good Jets dog, bro. You know what I mean? So good. And even we were talking about those Winnipeg Arena hot dogs back in the day, a piece of Wonder Bread, toasted nicely. We're gonna award someone one of those
are great.
Before we leave, just a reminder, this is 24 years ago today. The screw job in Montreal, Survivor Series, Brett screwed Brett, wrestling history. Holler out to all the wrestling fans out there. Any shout outs, Benny?
Yeah, I'm going to give 2 because we missed out on one here. Bob Irving, Bob Knuckles Irving.
Yes!
Broadcaster of the Bombers games for the last 50 years. The only guy we've ever heard, doing radio for Bomber games. Shout out to him for over the last 50 years. He's retiring after this season. So, great career, and it was great listening to him.
Yeah.
And second one is, we got some Canadian men's soccer coming up, or football, this week. They got 2 games coming up against Costa Rica and Mexico. So just want to wish them good luck, and hopefully they can come away with a couple victories.
Yeah, come on, cold weather. Make it a little cold for those boys.
Yeah, one's in Edmonton, so.
Oh, perfect.
Yeah.
Perfect. Shout out to Bob Irving. Man, I still remember back in the day when I was a kid and all the games weren't on TV, and especially listening to those BC games at like 10:30 at night under the covers. Man, memories. Shout out Bob Irving. You're the best, man. Shout out to Knuckles. Anything you got to say to the people, Benny?
Have a good week, everyone. Thanks for listening, and we'll be back next week.
We'll see you next week for episode 7. And in the famous words of Marshawn Lynch, I'm just here so I won't get fined. Peace. Hey, friends and neighbors, don't forget to follow us on Instagram and Twitter, both at Ray Benny Sports. Follow us, like us, send us some comments, tell us what you think.